Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As I sit here in this somewhat relatively long layover at the airport, I would like to mention a few points which are absolutely crucial, very prevalent given the fact that Muslims nowadays are exposed to all kinds of people who perceive themselves, who prompt themselves to be callers to Allah Azza wa Jal, people who want to propagate the deen, people who want khair, لكن كم مريد من خير لم يصبح, as Ibn Mas'ud said radiallahu anhu. Many of these people, ya ikhwa, first of all, the scholars of the past, they did not, past and present, they didn't warn against problematic individuals arbitrarily, just based on personal dislike, based on envy, based on, that's not what the scholars warning against people for, right? In fact, warning and clarifying the wrongdoers and their faults and their serious errors is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, and it's a Quranic methodology. وَكَذَلِكَ نُفَصِّلُ الْآيَاتِ وَلِتَسْتَبِينَ سَبِيلُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. Likewise, we clarify the signs so that the path and the way of the wrongdoers becomes clear, becomes known to people. So refutations, warning and clarifying the faults of certain methodologies or even certain people per se, if needed, is something from within Islam. It's not foreign to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but of course it must be done with hikmah, wisdom, with justice, without transgressing, without slandering, without lying, and it must be backed up by the adillah, by the principles of Islam, and not based on personal vendetta. Okay, so that's why, subhanAllah, many scholars perceive warning signs and patterns and harmful traits which many others fail to recognize. كذلك, as they say, الفتنة إذا أقبلت عرفها العلماء وإذا أدبرت عرفها الجهال. That when fitna approaches, the scholars know it. Before things hit the fan and before things become apparent to everyone else, and before it becomes manifest in front of everyone to see, the scholars recognize it and they warn against it. But once it happens, khalas, everyone now knows it and everyone sees it. Wallahu musta'an. Therefore, ya ikhwa, we have to be very cautious on who we lend an ear to, even for the sake of just being curious, because they can say something that can linger around your heart. And if you don't have enough knowledge and you haven't fortified yourself with strong principles and foundations, then as the Shafi'i said rahimahullah, al-qalbu da'if wa shubhatu khattafa, that the heart is weak and the shubha, the doubt, the matter can snatch you away. Not because it's true, abadan, but because shabahat al-haqq min wajh. قال الشبهة شبهة لأنها شابهت الحق من وجه, because it may have resembled the truth from one angle, but in and of itself is batil. And the people of falsehood, they know how to distort their falsehood and manipulate what they're saying to deceive others. Na'am, Allahu musta'an. So be especially wary of individuals who exhibit concerning characteristics, which I noted down and I'd like to mention inshallah, which are becoming increasingly common today. Today's social media world, these things have become more common and more apparent. First of all, from them is turning religious debate into entertainment, gathering up for debates, setting up debates, having to abide by the code of conduct. Get out of here. What code of conduct? You want to sit there with an enemy of Allah Azza wa Jal who made a career out of cursing the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, cursing the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, working day and night to attempt to disprove your deen, billah, in front of the Muslims as well. And then you want to sit with them, be cordial with them, and take selfies with them? Get out of here, man. What are you trying to justify? This individual who did that, and I think we all know who I'm alluding to, but for those who know, he's basically applying an ikhwani principle. That's who he is. That's his methodology, honestly. Okay? That's what it's become. Because the ends to him justify the means. The ends of, quote unquote, supposedly sitting down and clarifying these shubuhat that many Muslims probably never even come across until you and your people amplify them with these debates. Okay? Doing so justifies sitting with an enemy of Allah Azza wa Jal, being cordial with him, taking a selfie with him and other women. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Where are you getting this from? That's not justifiable. And upon people who affiliated with that guy, if they are people of principle, is to at least clarify this matter. Okay? Condemn this matter. If you're not going to disassociate yourself with them, condemn it at least. Say this is wrong, this action is wrong. At least in a general sense, but no, many of them are silent. Illa man rahim Allah. Also be aware of people who chase popularity, influence, and online clout rather than just presenting a genuine Islamic content. people seeking also spectacle, controversy, or this kind of gangster persona to attract and to appease the youth. This is not from the way of the Ahl al-Ilm, the ulama, and the people of knowledge who are well grounded in the principles of Ahl al-Sunnah. Okay? So justifying impermissible means in pursuit of what they claim is beneficial, it must be from the deen. Like, it must be backed up by the Kitab and Sunnah upon the proper understanding for it to be considered something that's going to actually be beneficial, or else it's a non-starter. Okay? Wallahu musta'an. So be careful of these things. Also, some of these individuals, they go certain places and they act they compromise their dignity, wallahi. Just erupting in a very foolish manner, screaming, yelling, shouting. Some of them, they went to Africa and he was dancing with the woman there because it's a symbol and a sign of hospitality. And when it comes to their culture, get out of here, man. Al-'ada muhakkama. This is something that a student of knowledge understands from the fiqh principles, qawaid al-fiqhiyya al-kubra, that all of the rituals and customs of the people, yes, the default is that it's permissible, but it's subject to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Meaning, if that particular culture, or that particular thing in a particular culture that people do, if it contravenes anything from the rulings of Islam, then that thing has no value, no weight. Why? Because Islam and its rulings supersede culture and anything else in life. Okay? قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. My entire life is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So be careful, ya ikhwa, of these certain traits. Barakallahu feekum. Always measure callers and duaat and students of knowledge. Measure them by the sound methodology and the upright character. Also, of course, people, a student of knowledge, they have personalities, they have certain characters, no doubt, sense of humor, but it should not exceed the boundaries where you become known to people as this comedian, as this jokester, as this entertainer. مَنْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ شَيْءٍ عُرِفَ بِهِ. As they say, whoever indulges in something in abundance will become known for that thing. Okay? Wallahu musta'an. So it's not about a person being charismatic or having the views and the followers. No, la wallah. That's not the criteria, ya ikhwan. Criteria is their demeanor, is their ilm, of course, first of all, their demeanor as callers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their character, what they are propagating and how they're propagating it. Okay? Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.